In this video, I want to talk about skills. Skills for AI, though in AI, a large language model, GitHub Copilot, Claude Code can use skills. You can also use skills on your own by explicitly um, saying the AI shall follow this skill when it is doing your task. And we will also have a look in how skills are built so that you can build your own skills. The idea of a skill is that you define exactly how to handle a certain task and when to do it so that AI can decide on its own which skill it should pick at which point in time. For example, you can have a big prompt which can trigger the AI to use multiple different skills within one run. Things like this are possible depending on the task you give to the AI. So coming back to a single skill now, um, let's make an example. A skill could be um, to support a developer when he's done with coding. So let's say I'm done with coding, then I have to do 5 steps in my case. I create a feature branch, I create a Git commit in this feature branch. I have to use a special kind of message for this Git commit. I have to create a merge request. And then last but not least, I have to document this in a Jira ticket because that's our ticketing system where we organize our work. So those 5 steps could be automated and handed over to AI. And in order to make sure that the AI uses the correct naming for the feature branch, the AI uses the correct style for the Git commit message, this can be ensured by writing a skill for that. This way, you trigger once the skill and then everything is done in a predefined way. So a skill is actually a markdown file, skill.markdown, and you have it on your hard disk so that the AI agents have access to it. And then the AI looks it up and is following the instructions defined in this skill, for the example, for the process I described before. Besides having the markdown file with the instructions, you can have additional scripts. So for example, a skill like the playwright script skill can use your browser, and therefore it has additional files to control and have access to the browser. It can have also reference documents or other examples, so it's more than just a single skill markdown file. But the key idea of the skill is that it has a short description which is exposed to the AI, and only if the AI needs the skill, it reads all the rest. And that makes it more efficient than if you have a big prompt where you define all possible things the AI could do if it comes to the conclusion during the reasoning process that this is needed. Yeah. Looking more into details, yeah, we have this skill markdown file. But you need also a name for your skill, and this one is defined by the folder where the skill markdown file is placed. So for example, my skill folder contains a skill markdown file. That means this skill is called my skill. And there are also different ways how you can share your skills. You can have personal skills which are available in all of your projects in all workspaces. Therefore, you have to store them in your home folder, for example, in the .agents folder or in the Claude Code .claude folder or in GitHub Copilot's .copilot folder, and they're inside the skills subfolders. The modern programming AI tools like GitHub Copilot and Claude Code often look up the skills of the other tools so that they can also use it. So it's not so critical that it's exactly in a particular folder, because during the development of skills and the AI tools, they get more and more open to use skills from different places. The other option is that you put a skill in a particular project repository, and this way you can share it via Git with your whole team, but then the skill is only available for this project. That might make sense if the skill is very specific to this particular code base or project. Yeah. If you need more examples and inspiration for skills, have a look in GitHub project Awesome Copilot. There you find a big list of skills and you can see what is available. Same with entrophic skills. There you find also a big amount of skills which you could just take and use. The easiest thing is just take it and copy it to your hard disk at a particular folder, and then it will work. Um, in the future, we will see also more and more tools which roll out the skills, like a skill marketplace, which you can use, where you can then have plugins and add them to your AI coding tool. Claude Code has this, for example. But this is not in scope of this video right now. We will now focus on looking in concrete skills. Caveman is an example for a skill. You know, AI is typically very chatty, very verbose, and the idea of Caveman is to compress the communication to make it shorter, to speak like a caveman. And this way, the idea is to save um, tokens, AI credits when using the Caveman tool. And here we can see the structure of a skill. Every skill has a name in the description. This is like a header, and the idea is if a skill is loaded in an AI tool and it's available there, then every large language model call is aware that this skill exists by just reading this little header. And if the AI decides that it wants to use the skill, because let's say some keywords or the user has said something like here in Caveman case, caveman mode, talk like caveman, use caveman, and then the real prompt. Yeah. So there I would detect, okay, I should use this skill. And then it reads the rest of the skill. And here we have like a detailed instructions how a caveman AI behaves. That, for example, it's not using articles like an, the, or it's not using filler words like just, really, basically. All that is like cut away, and this way AI is saving tokens if it's using Caveman. Let's have a look at an example of me executing Caveman. First of all, I set here explicitly Caveman skill, normal mode, so I disabled Caveman. In my setup, it's enabled by default, so we see the AI switched Caveman off. And then I made a prompt like explain how Kubernetes readiness probes work. And we get here a regular answer from an AI. So that is, as you know, it's a classic style. But with Caveman on, we have different results. Here we see now a prompt where I explicitly enabled Caveman, explain how Kubernetes readiness probe works. And then we see an answer where Caveman is in use, and we just see how work instead of how it works. We see short sentences where fill words are cut out, like here, wait before first probe, check interval, probe timeout. So that is very short, and also the headlines are short. In general, this is shorter. Yeah, you see it's just a bit of text, and always this very um, compromised style. Yeah, so that is an example for Caveman how you can use a skill. There's the option of calling it explicitly by naming the skill, and the other version is if you say talk like a caveman and explain me how Kubernetes readiness probe works, we would have similar results than here, because then the AI detects that this skill is available and decides to use it for giving me an answer. Next topic is how to build a skill, and therefore we can also just use AI. Yeah. Um, I have several available skills. I can check them by starting typing slash, and then there is like skills to configure skills to list skills, and create skill to create a new skill. And now, as an example, let's create a skill for joke generation. So we use slash create skill, and then my text create a skill called joke generator. The skill should first ask the user the following three questions, one at a time: in which historical period the joke shall take place, in which landscape or location, should the joke include a telephone, since we are Deutsche Telekom, there's always a telephone, and afterwards just answer by giving the plain joke without any other stuff. So you can describe in a prompt what you expect from a skill, then let the AI generate a skill for you, and afterwards you review the skill markdown file and optimize it. So let's just do this. Let us use the skill create skill to generate this skill. We see now the AI is working as usual, and at some point it will create my skill. Here it looks also in the context where I have Caveman skill open, so maybe this skill is now inspired by Caveman. But it's already created. Yeah, we have the file here. We can have a look in it. And we see here joke generator. We have description, generate a custom joke from 3 user inputs. We see the detailed description of this. It's a very simple skill, and we could improve it now by extending this description. And there's also like an argument hint used. So let's see this in action. I will, oh, wait a second, keep it. And I just say, so joke generator. And if I press now tab here, you see there is like this argument hint, which is shown here, and that matches exactly this. So there are more meta information possible in this header for the skill. Have a look at it. You can also define exactly the tools which are allowed to be used in this skill or not. Yeah. If that makes sense in your case, feel free to do so. But for the joke generator, it's pretty simple. We expect now the 3 questions to be answered. So the first question, in which historical period should the joke take place? So let's say Stone Age. I will answer with cave to the next question. And of course, there is a telephone. Like I speed things up, and then I finally get my joke. 2 Stone Age cavemen sit deep in their cave when a shiny new telephone rings for a very first time. And the joke at the end is, how is a number wrong? We not even invent numbers. So next time probably I will just read the joke. Maybe that's better than looking it quickly up. Anyways, yeah, with a joke generator, you can always generate a new joke if needed. And that is in a nutshell how you create a skill. Yeah, the real work would be now to improve this. So for example, we have seen here that for the question there could be predefined answers, and we could specify this here in the detailed instructions to have it better the next time. Yeah, and that is how you improve your skills and where you should really work then on the markdown file. So we have seen how to build a skill, of course, how to use it implicitly, explicitly. And in general, we have now the understanding what a skill is. It is like a markdown description of a process, and it has a header which is always added to the context of the large language model. So if you enjoyed my video, please give me a thumb up and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.